everyone, I hope you're all well. So I'm here to do some cards for June. I'm going to go through the sun signs in a minute and see what comes up. And I was going to talk about the energy for June, but as I don't really know what it is, I can't. So I'll see what comes up. I'll pull some cards and see what comes up, but I don't want to say anything without doing that because I've been listening to some astrology, varying astrology reports, and it's just not resonating at all what they're saying. So they seem to be saying that it's going to be a difficult month, confusing. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but I feel there's a lot of clarity around actually. We did have a new moon in Gemini, so something that's coming through for that is that it is a clarifying moon rather than a confusing moon. And I wanted to just also tell you, well, first of all, I wanted to say that I know I've been really quiet for like a couple of years probably. And, you know, with what the artist formerly known as Twin Flame, that energy that was around, that was really dramatic, you know, that whole kind of twin flame perspective, if you like, to call it that, because it is a perspective at the end of the day, although there is truth in there of what it is, you know, of that label. It's as a perspective that's been absorbed by the collective and kind of aberrated into something that it isn't. I think I said that before in a previous video. So, and one of the things that happened with it, I felt, was that it became really charged. That just those two words, that really charged and really controversial and really dramatic and really you know, charged in that those words, like if you said that to someone or if you put that in a video, it's going to really generate a lot of conflict and a lot of ego because of so many differing opinions and everybody wants to kind of have it mean what they want it to mean. And there's also, because in the actual process that you go through, there's a lot of purging of the ego, which means that you go through a lot of personal purging, a lot of grief and a lot of sadness and a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of kind of dissolving part of yourself in that process, right? All those elements of yourself, all the negative aspects of yourself are dissolved in the process that you go through. So they have to come out to be dissolved. You don't dissolve them by like blindsiding them and ignoring them. You dissolve them by facing them and making them obvious to yourself. So they have to come out. So that purging like becomes a collective thing that's out there, and it's out there in the comments on the videos, and it's out there in the just in the air, if you like, you know, in the energy. And we're all part of that as well, you know, me as much as everybody else. I go through that comes up in me as well to be dissolved. And in the end, at the end of the day, what happens is you have to dissolve that whole perspective. And so that's why, like, I'm calling it the artist formerly known as, because it's funny as well. So I find the giving it a humour to it is beneficial, because whatever makes you laugh is beneficial, right? But also to dissolve it, that whole perspective just puts water on the flames, if you like. So it kind of dampens down all that aggression that comes out around those two words. And you see all the process that you go through, that's a purge, that's dissolving your former self, right? Which is the artist or formerly known as. So it's not just... Twin flame is not just somebody else, it's you. It's that side of you, right, that you're dissolving. So you're dissolving part of yourself that is that aggressive side as well, and it's like dismantling the former you, which brings you to your conclusion, and it brings you into the brighter side of you, right, which is the more side that's highly aligned with your higher self, where you let go of anything that is disabling you from having a higher perspective, or anything that is disabling you from having a sense of lightness of being, basically. You know, when people talk about enlightenment, well, that's what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is the knowledge that you are not human. Beneath your human facade, you're not human. You're another worldly being. So the lightness of being comes from that knowledge. That's the enlightenment, right? And that gives you lightness of being. Enlightenment is lightness of being. Because as soon as you come to that understanding within yourself, at the end of all the purging, it's when you release everything that's negative. So that's what enlightenment is as well. And, you know, it's nothing out. Enlightenment isn't wisdom. It's only the wisdom that you are an otherworldly being. That is the only light that needs to shine, right? Like all the sages and the yogis and everything, when they talk about enlightenment, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the understanding that you are not of what you think you are. You're not what you think you are. You're not a human being, basically. That's just, you are being human for now. You know, that's why they call it a human being, because you're just being that for now. You're not that when you leave your body. You go back to, well, you go off and, you know, enter another dimension. So you go back to where you come from, basically. And then you decide where you're going to go next, possibly, or stay there, possibly. And you know, I don't know everything that goes on once we go out of this human body. I get some flashes, like I'm sure you do. So, but I don't get all the. You know, none of us know everything. None of us know everything. That's why enlightenment, you see, is not knowing everything. It's not like people say. You know, you're going to become enlightened, and it's like you just like, and it's knowing everything that means that you're a superior being or something, right? That's not what it is. It's simply lightening up because you realise you're not going to be here forever, and therefore you can let go of everything that you think is important in this lifetime, including anything that is worrying you, like the mortgage or the bills or the whether you should order 2 pints of milk or a pint of milk, or whether you should drink skimmed or non-skimmed, or you know, or anything that you're even happy about, you know, like that gleaming shiny red car and loving it, because you know tomorrow you could go around the corner, somebody puts a dent in it, and then what, you're going to be miserable again because your car got damaged, you know. So it's like lighten up, basically. So got that. The one thing, I wasn't going to say any of that just came out, so there you go. That was what I didn't know I was coming here for that, but I did. You see, it's like they start as soon as I start talking, so it's all good. I was going to tell you about an experience I had. I want to stress. No, I haven't finished talking about the fact that I've not been here for a while, you know, and I've gone very low key, and a lot of people have, I think, that we're talking about the twin flame thing. They've gone very low key, and there's a reason for that. It's like, not only is there kind of the whole scene, if you like, the twin flame scene is kind of like calmed down because for one reason or another, life kind of interrupts it for some people, or some people just, maybe they realise that it's like was not the path that they were on after all, you know. Maybe they just get fed up listening to it as well. Maybe it's like because there is so much kind of interference on that frequency now, like with those words there's so much interference, it's like not knowing what to listen to anymore, or wanting to listen to it because so much of it is an aberration and doesn't resonate, or is actually very interfering in what you're going through as well. So there's a lot of that. But I just wanted to say, because of that, I don't even know if anybody listens to me anymore. I know there's a few people out there, but I never look. You know, I've got all the things turned off, like the subscribers, I think, the likes, everything. I turned it all off because it's all very ego. And it used to give me a bit of anxiety, actually, when I'd look at it, because, well, for loads of different reasons. I mean, partly because I don't want to get caught up in that whole how many subscribers have I got kind of thing. because you do, if it's out there, you do get caught up in it. Another part of you might get caught up in, hooked into like, you know, what do other people think about the amount of subscribers I've got? You could get hooked into that. You can get hooked into like who's liking, who's disliking, all that kind of thing. And so I turned it all off because I just didn't want to have to be being hooked by it all. So, and I know there's some people out there, but I don't really, you know, for all I know, it could be 3 of you and me. So that's, I just wanted to say that, you know, so yes, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. Hopefully there are people out there that are listening still, because I know sometimes it's, you know, I know sometimes I've got things that have come out that are worth hearing, you know. So, yeah, hopefully. Anyway, oh, also just to say as well, you know, that I will be, I know at some point I'm coming back with something, something else, something different to all this. It's like my work has had to kind of this kind of work has had to take a back seat for my own process. And at some point it will be reborn again. I mean, this is not it being reborn, what I'm doing now. This is mainly me just kind of, wanting to kind of still talk, basically, because like I say, sometimes things do come out that are worth listening to, I think. So, and then I just wanted to say, right, something that I think is valuable is really, is journaling. So I want to say how valuable I think that is, because I think people, I said it before, I'll take the glasses off, and people, either think, oh, well, it's like kind of telling somebody to eat right, you know, or drink more water. It's like advice, and sometimes people hear advice and they're like, yeah, whatever. And it sounds like good, well, one day I'll get around to it, and then they just don't do it. But I want to share with you an experience. So for the past probably about 2 weeks, I've been going through a major purge. It's like a cycle of rinse, repeat, the purge, isn't it? And so I was going through this like really long, this purge, and it wasn't finishing. And I'm aware of it when it's coming through now, you know, and I'm a witness to it. I can see it's going on. I can see that's me becoming my lower self, and the lower self taking hold and refusing to give it up, right? I'm refusing to come out of the purge a little bit, and just like hanging on to that feelings of desperation, sadness, grief, loss, confusion, hopelessness, all this kind of stuff. My purging has changed from the year it started, so now it's very much a hopelessness kind of stage. A giving up stage, and a wanting everything to end stage and go back to where I came from stage. So I'm aware of it when it's going on, like I say, so it's not like anything to be unduly worried about, because I know what's going on. But this one wasn't ending, right? And I used to journal all the time. It was one thing that I did, that really, it helped me tune into my higher self, basically, because I would write everything down. And I said this to someone in a reading the other day. I said, you just write down, and you just don't bother with punctuation or grammar or anything or thinking. You just literally churn out what is coming through you onto the paper. And I found it very valuable a few years ago, because it got everything out of me, got out all that anger that I was feeling and all the sadness and all that. But the major thing that it did that was really, really helpful wasn't that. It was the fact that I would then, what I do is, and I still do, but I just haven't been doing it as much, is I start in my email, I start a month at the beginning of the month, and I write it throughout the month, whatever days I write it on. So I don't write every day, but I'll put the date at the top, and I'll write a little paragraph. And when the month's up, I just put my own name in it, send it to myself and save it. So I've got a record of it. And what I was doing when I started, so it's about 2012, was I would write and write and write, and I'd go through maybe a few months, and then I'd want to for some reason I look back. I can't exactly remember why I would look back. Obviously, it's all guided by soul, the reason I look back. So, but I would look back. And what I'd see when I read something that I'd written was not what I'd written. I would see things that I knew that I couldn't possibly know about myself, about situations, insights, if you like, intuition, and it was all that there. And I'd be like, oh my God, what was that? And it was through that I understood that I was channeling spirit, higher beings, my higher self, because that's what was on the paper in front of me. So it was like indisputable proof that I was channeling, basically. Mainly my higher self, I think. Also my artist formerly known as his higher self as well. So all that on there. So and through the years, that was 2012. It's kind of it went through an arc, so it got more and more and more, and then it's kind of dropped off as I've not needed it so much, the journaling. But because this purge wasn't ending, I went into my journal, online, and I started to write. And this is just the other day, right? This is just before the new moon, and I started to write. And I wrote, here I am again, going through this same cycle again. And I wrote, it's the same thing every time, and my life is the same thing all the time. It's like I move to a location, I renovate or recharge the building I'm in, I decorate it, I furnish it, and then I move on. And here I am again, and I'm doing it again, and I always do it on my own, and this is my life, and it's been my life forever and ever and ever. And it's never ending, and this cycle never ends, and my feelings are the same. My feelings don't go away. So wherever I am, I come back to the same feelings, which are these feelings of, this is pointless, because how can I keep repeating this cycle, and the thing that you've told me that's happening is not resolved yet. So the resolution is now the thing that is the pain, not what I thought I was going to get, not what you told me was coming back to me, but the resolution of it not coming back to me, just the resolution is the cycle of pain, right? And I wrote all this kind of stuff. And then I put, so what is this? And then I just wrote at the end, this is hell. And I just suddenly, in that moment, had an absolute lightning bolt of clarity. And I was like, oh my God, of course it is, because it's third dimension, and I'm in the third dimension. And the third dimension is hell, because it is the lowest point that there is. It's ego. We live in ego. And it was just like at that moment, as soon as I saw that, I snapped out of my purge completely. And I had clarity, and it just went. And I was back to being in my higher self and being resonant with all like my higher faculties again, and all the grimness and all the loss and all the loss of hope, the hopelessness and the loss of hope all just went and dissolved in that moment that I wrote that. It was really, 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 like I could feel it, like the switch from my lower self to my higher self again. So just wanted to share that, because I just wanted to say that journaling is really important, because it can bring you real clarity when you do it. Because that is what it's actually for, all right? So it's not some kind of self-indulgent nonsense, because I think a lot of people don't do it because they think they actually don't love themselves enough to do it, and they think, well, I can't write about what I feel and what goes on with me because I'm not important enough, and it's just being really like, I should be thinking about more important things like other people and being compassionate to other people and all this kind of stuff. Well, the thing is, you're the most important person, right? You are the most important thing that's here, because when I say that the third dimension is hell, the third dimension is hell because hell is a cycle of suffering. That's what it actually literally is. And so if you are going through a cycle of suffering repeatedly, and not enlightening yourself to that one truth that you're only here for a while as a human being, and then you will go back to where you came from, and you're not this person anymore. You're not getting off that cycle of suffering unless you do that, right? And that is the most important thing you are here for. So to love yourself enough to like allow yourself to do that kind of journaling, and it doesn't matter how long you sit there for and you write for, and you get out all your pain onto a piece of paper or onto your tablet or whatever, your laptop, because it's going to benefit everything, it's going to benefit everybody, the whole collective, because your insights will then become somebody else's insights, and you tapping into your intuition and becoming at one with your higher self will enable everybody else to come into connection with their higher selves as well. So I just wanted to say how important that actually is, that process, and yeah, that's all really, just to share that, because that's really all I've got for the new moon that we've just gone through, is that it's about clarity, and it's about getting off the roundabout and the cycle of suffering, and it's about tapping into your own higher self, this new moon, you know, and everybody's got a dark and a light side. It doesn't mean you've got a good and a bad side. The dark and the light means you've got a lower side and you've got a higher side, and the lower side is your ego, and it's a part of you. It's not bad, it's a part of you that suffers, you know, and the higher side is a part of you that doesn't, because it just lets go, like I let go in that moment, right? So do what you can to help yourself with that, is what I'd say. All right, so I'm going to pull some cards, see what they have to say about June. So we're going to go with, first of all, general energy for June. So the number 3 is really important as well. The number 3 is divine number. It's divine connection. Lower, I mean, if you like, you could say lower, higher, and the God energy, source energy. So 3rd of June. June is the start of spring. It's about rebirth. The 3rd is divine number. It's about connecting into your higher self, which connects you to your enlightenment, which is your lightness of being, which is, you know, the oneness of all of us combined, which is God energy, which is fruitfulness, again, which is spring, which is rebirth. Do you see what I mean? So that's all connected as well. So it's good. I feel good. You know, I mean, I don't personally feel good. That's neither here nor there. I feel like this energy is, this month starting off, is good energy. I don't feel that there's anything negative about it at all. Let's see what the cards have to say. Right, so we've got 2 of coins coming out. I'm going to do it this way. Page of coins, the star, 7 of swords, 10 of swords, 10 of coins, page of cups, 5 of coins, the Hierophant, Ace of Swords, and let's just put one there, another one. We've got 8 of Wands, King of Cups underneath. So let's see, what do they want to say about it? Okay, well, definitely fruitfulness, because we're starting the month with the 2 of coins and the page of coins, which is manifesting energy. It's 3rd dimensional energy, okay, and it's the growth of new things signified in this deck by the page of coins. So as we enter the month, we have got good energy coming in. Where we've got the 2 of coins as well, this is balanced energy. So we're talking about balanced masculine and feminine energy inside of each of us, as well as outside of us. So again, your manifesting ability works through your masculine and feminine energy being in harmonious balance. It's when you are, that's when you're at the top of your game, right? So it means that you're able to, you're able to be really effective in the third dimension, basically, because you're coming from an energy which is sublime, they're saying, which is completely balanced, harmonious. So it means that you're going to be putting yourself forward in a way that is, you know, engaging with others. That's going to make, you know, appear like you have kind of got your life sorted out. Appear like you know what you're doing. Appear like calm, collected, sure of yourself. All this kind of, all these, what do you call them? All these facets of yourself are going to be aligned and working so that you're able to move forward this month into new things, basically. Start new things. It's also, what they're saying is, it's kind of a new, the energy is new in a way that it's cleaning the deck, right? So it's like there's, the past is just let go of, basically, as well. So whatever has gone these past few months, you know, of the start of this year, 2019, is now over. All right, so it's like whatever you've been dealing with, whatever it is that you've been dealing with financially, whatever it is you've been dealing with family-wise, whatever it is you've been dealing with relationship-wise, also whatever you've been dealing with energetically as well. So whilst all these things go on in your life in the third dimension, all right, finances, family, work, situations, all this kind of normal, mundane, everyday stuff that you have to, you know, that you hear and you do. As well as that going on, there's also your energy and how your energy is being asked to kind of reciprocate with the energy that's out there and being asked to serve, because you serve through your energetic being. So the other reason that you're here is to serve through how you feel and your energy output, and not output exactly, but your energetic beingness, right? So it's like, you know, if you feel exhausted or you're feeling ascension symptoms, that kind of thing, it's not, this isn't like random. You know, your ascension symptoms are going to increase when your energy is in use by the collective, right? So you're going to be generating more physical symptoms, basically, for your physical body to cope with when you're being asked to energetically step up, right? So you might not know when you're being asked to energetically step up, because it's not a conscious work that you do, but you'll know it because you'll feel your ascension symptoms strongly, right? So you might feel achy and weak and all that kind of stuff, worn out, dishevelled, you know, all that kind of just like it's all getting too much for you physically, physical symptoms. So what they're saying is we start the month with a clean slate, both energetically and physically, i.e. third dimensionally. So it's like all the work is completed, basically, that you've been doing. So it's kind of like how to put this, right? If you're living your life, all right, and there's certain things going on in your life and they seem like they're really, really, really important, right? So it's like big decisions to make in your life, or big, like heavy situations going on, you know, like a work situation that's maybe playing on your time, or a relationship situation that's taking all your energy, that kind of thing, right? And sometimes things feel like they're never ending, or you feel like you're in the eye of the storm, right? And you can't see an end to a situation, and you don't know, you know, you feel like it could go on forever. Like, when is this going to end, or when is this going to resolve, right? And suddenly it just resolves, right? Because you know, it's an illusion, the third dimension, so it's not real. So whatever it is that you think is like a really big deal that's going on, that's got no end in sight, this is only going to be appearing that way because it's serving in some way how you are going to be energetically engaged with the energy, like, to put it, what other way of putting it. So it's like situations in your physical life will and can just suddenly end for no apparent, like from out of the blue, an ending will come about. And it really significantly with things like that, it's almost like you can be engaged, like you could be like readied for some kind of battle in the third dimension, right? You can be like feeling like you're on the you're like all your guns are engaged for battle, right? Because you've got to be primed and ready for some kind of attack. And then it's almost like the energy of that just drops away and nothing actually happens. And it's like, oh, where did all that go? Like that person I thought I was going to have a battle with, that just like, it just dissolved. They're not presenting me with a battle. So it's kind of like that's what's going to happen this month. It's that all this, because all the stuff that we were engaged in, which of course is an illusion, third dimension is an illusion, is just going to drop away because it's no longer needed anymore, because whatever it was doing was facilitating your energetic work, because your energetic work is also over now. So those energetic things will drop away as well. So you might notice less ascension symptoms, you might notice more clarity, less purging, your purge might finish just like mine did, that kind of stuff, because it's literally like, it's done, right? So everything drops away. And what we're starting with is a clear slate. So that's what we've got at the start. Now, that's going to feel like healing. It's going to feel like you're healed, and it's going to feel like just the fact that that energy, like a brittle kind of fighting energy, is going to end, like feeling like there's a battle on the horizon kind of an energy, a battle that never came maybe for a lot of people, just feeling primed for it. Like I say, the fact that that energy drops off and you no longer feel like you need to be engaged and ready for battle in some sense is going to make you feel good, is what they're saying as well. Because as well, you've got to remember, third dimension is fear, and fear is an illusion. And all these feelings of like, needing to be ready to fight a battle, and that you feel it like tension inside yourself, like down your main core, the main core of your chakra system, because your chakra system, right? The further you get away from the core, the more it's your higher self, right? It's the more your chakra system is aligned with your higher self. The main chakra system that runs along the inside of your body, the main stretch of your body, right, is where you're going to feel like all the tension, because that is your more human self, all right? So, and that's where the fear always plays out, in your human chakras, like your basic chakras. So your stomach, your heart, your throat, your head, like all the physical symptoms, your lower back, all that kind of stuff is where you feel all the stress and the pain of your human experience. And so you're going to feel a lightening of that, right, as the fear drops away, because fear contracts all those earthly chakras. If you like, you can call them all earthly chakras. You know, that main chakra system that runs up the center line of your body. So they can be contracted with the human experience, whereas the outer chakras don't get contracted like that, because they know more. Right, that's your knowingness that's in like outside of yourself, your physical self. So just to say that you're, the fear is going to kind of be let go of, and let go of you, right? Every time you contract in the experience that you're having as a human being, and every time you contract, when you're contracting into fear and worry and stress, and you're feeling like there is something on the horizon that you're going to have to fight, like every time you feel that contraction itself, right, it's like actually eliminating fear, because what happens is you contract so much with it that you're going to feel so much of this fear or this purge that when it clears and you then expand again into your higher self and into your awareness and your intuition, it's going to feel like like I say, like lightness of being, and freer than ever. Every time you contract more, when you become free, you become even freer than you were before, until at the end of the process that you go through, which was known as twin flame process of enlightenment, is something else you could call it, is you're going to, as you go through this process, you're extinguishing fear. So at the end of it, there is no fear to be felt at all. And of course, before you get to that ending where no fear is felt at all, you get to the ending that I've just experienced, which is, that you might have experienced as well. I'm not saying you haven't, but I'm just saying towards the end, you get the experience of witnessing the fear and the contraction, and like almost like looking at yourself going through that before you expand out of it again. So yeah, but sometimes it can be very difficult. That's why the journaling is a very good thing, because it's like then you can just trigger your own intuition again and trigger your own awareness, your own expansion, really. So just use it as a tool to trigger your own expansion, basically, is what journaling is. It's not it really is a really, it's beyond a therapy, right? It's like, it's a big deal. Can't stress enough. Right, so that's how we start the month anyway, right? The contraction's over. We're expanding again. We're expanding into our pure potential, right? So your pure potential is you, where there's no fear, basically, because there's no limits. Once you're through the fear again, and you're expanding out of that, and you're seeing things as they really are. So you're seeing the physical dimension as merely an illusion, and your inner beingness, your lightness of being, as being the real story, the real truth, and you let go instantly, like everything feels better, right? And there is an ending. You are ending what goes on in your mind and making yourself small, basically, with your fears. So, let's have a look at these. Of course, you expand into love as well once that happens. You expand into all kinds of love. Because when you contract, and we have been contracted, because we've been tested in this past month, whatever way you've been tested, we've all been tested in some way. I feel actually last month there was a lot of confusion around. Because I know when I came here last month and I was talking about divine connections, right, and that was all that was coming in, but it was all very testing, right? It was all to remind you of issues, right, that might have arisen for you before in relationship. So at least it was for me. But it was bringing up things like last month. It was somebody coming into your life to bring up a remembrance of maybe how you had acted within a relationship, or maybe how you had not acted, or maybe remembering what a relationship was, and how it can have good aspects to it, and it can have aspects to it that are more challenging, and also not everything is what it appears either. People aren't always what they appear to be. All right. Like when I was talking about divine connection last month, I made sure I said we're not talking twin flame, because it wasn't about coming together with one person and strolling off into the sunset. It was more about somebody coming that was going to present you with part of yourself again, as somebody coming that was going to present you with maybe a side of yourself that you hadn't witnessed or recognised, or even that you hadn't seen for a long time. And that is divine work when that happens, all right? That's divine work for you. They're coming to show you part of yourself again. This is all getting you ready for something later on, of course, which is your divine destiny. But before you can get to your divine destiny, you've got to have witnessed yourself completely, right? So that you're able to always be the witness to yourself. Because if you can't be the witness to yourself, then you can't have a divine connection where you're going to be a witness to the divine connection. So that's what last month was about, right? So I found that actually more confusing. And this month, it's like with the fear, the ending that's around that, the love comes back in as well. So the love is like childlike love is what they're saying. The inner child, it's like freedom. It's non-judgmental, so it's unconditional love, because that's what childlike love is. It's basically just not wanting anything from anyone, love-wise. Every time we go through this process as well, I just want to add, because what's happening this month, I feel, is where we have a fresh new start and we've got clarity, and we've gone through this cycle of contraction again and we come out of it. Every time we do that as well, when we come into this new love, right, a possibility for new love, it's like the buds of a new love. When we come into it after this, it means that we have got the ability, and we've got the we're being charged, basically. Again, it's like a charge. I mean, like an electrical charge, like a powered charge. We're being charged to be able to love unconditionally, right? So this unconditional love that comes from beyond the ego, there's nothing attached to it at all, right? It has no attachments. Now, one of the things that comes with that is that you are able to love somebody despite the fact that they have issues, right? Because like the old paradigm, right, is where you have someone that comes to you and they've got all their issues, right? So maybe they're codependent, or they're controlling, which is part of codependency a lot of the time. They could be a little bit narcissistic. It's a spectrum, narcissism. You know, not everybody is an outright full-on narcissist. Some people have a lot of hooks of narcissism that have come from the family that they're disintegrating. And you, being divine energy, you help people disintegrate those, because you witness to it and mirroring, like in relation to it, you help disintegrate it. The way you help disintegrate it is through unconditional love. Now, this is not like I'm saying, well, let me finish what I was saying. So the old paradigm is when somebody comes to you and they've got an issue, right? And you are in relation to them, and because of their issue, you can't love them, right? And it's a conscious choice. It's like, I'm not going to love that person's controlling. I'm not going to love that person is narcissistic. And because the old paradigm of love, you see, is not the new paradigm of love, the reason that comes about, that choice and that decision on an ego level, is because the way that love is actually considered, right, is out of a doing something or a taking something, right? Love is what someone would mean when they say, I'm not going to love that person because they've got issues, is I am not going to give them anything. I'm going to withhold from them a sense of entitlement to be here. I'm going to withhold from them a smile. You know, I'm going to withhold from them any kindness or any appreciation, or, you know, it's this kind of thing, right? So it's like even the idea of love is wrong, because unconditional love isn't doing anything. Unconditional love is literally a sense of, you can be whatever you want to be and I'm going to be whatever I want to be, and our paths never have to cross again. But I'm not going to judge you, basically. I'm going to stand here in this relationship judging you to make myself feel like I'm a better person, and call that love, because it isn't, right? So, but that was the old paradigm of love, basically. So where we've got this new paradigm now, and what we've got this month, and when we've got the buds of new love starting again, and we've got the entitlement to love unconditionally, coming from the fact that we're expanding out of the contraction, which was the fear. So it's like an allowance. You will feel it inside yourself. It's an allowance to love, right? Which doesn't mean you're going to get caught up in somebody's issues and get involved in that and become codependent with them and start to tell them they need to be like this or need to be like that, because, you know, you're not going to be with them unless they're like this or like that. It's about stepping away almost, and it's being the witness to, like, your own process and also their process, and it's loving them as you know, beyond a human sense of love. It's loving them in the sense that you know, you can look at them and say, well, they have got this issue and they've got that issue. And yes, they're a little bit narcissistic or whatever, if that's the case. But it's not going to change the fact that I'm going to keep my heart open. Because basically the new love, right, is keeping your heart open, your heart chakra, which is one of your main chakras, so that you don't contract into fear again and you don't get ready for a battle again. So you don't start loading your guns and get ready to be an aggressor, right? So when you come into a new love and a higher sense of love and able to expand back into like more able to expand into even more unconditional love, it's basically coming back into just keeping your heart open, right? And being able to kind of love somebody. Sometimes it has to be at a distance, you know, because, you know, well, it is at a distance basically, because, you know, love is an energy. It's not a physical thing, right? It's not like shaking someone by the shoulders and saying, you can't be like this anymore. What is wrong with you? You're controlling. It's stepping away and loving their soul, basically, loving their soul and loving their energetic beingness rather than delve in there and sort out their human beingness, which, you know, to look at it on an even more expansive level, people only ever present you with what you need to be presented with through their own soul. So you can see, you know, you've got to look beyond that human personage and see what their soul is presenting you with, which is a bigger lesson, which is always going to be how are you going to deal with what I'm presenting you with on a human level. Are you going to go into fear and hatred and contraction, or are you going to remain open-hearted and beyond pain? You see, if you remain open-hearted, you are beyond pain, because nothing can hurt you. And I know that might sound a bit controversial, a bit like, oh, no, 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 because if you let a narcissist in, they're only going to hurt you. I'm not saying you let the narcissist in to hurt you. I'm saying you keep your wisdom of what that is being presented to you on a human level, right? And you don't go running towards it and, you know, allowing it to take your energy, right? But the wisdom is being able to keep your own heart open, so that that attack that's coming towards you on a narcissistic level isn't taking your energy. Do you see what I mean? Because if you're able to keep your heart open and feel love in a bigger sense, that means you have actually beat that lesson that's coming in. You've actually won. You've actually proved you can be in contact with someone who's controlling or whatever, narcissist, whatever, and not shut your heart down, right? Because as you proceed forward, which we are always proceeding forward, even though there's no linear timing, we proceed forward because we're on a path, right? A path to resolution. Keeping heart open is really, 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 really important. It's the biggest, it's the only thing. It's basically what we're here for, heart openness. And that heart openness, it is a giving energy, right? Now, that heart openness is a giving energy because it's the way you feel, right, when your heart is open, is therefore how you portray through your human beingness, right, changes because of that. So when you expand into your heart energy, what you actually present to people, like I said, is something that is making them feel good, right? Because they're not going to feel anything comes off you that wants to judge them or that wants to like take them apart, you know, dismantle them, that wants to cause them pain, that wants to like interfere, that wants to, you know, find something wrong with them so you can feel better about yourself, kind of a thing, which is what we're just talking about, will come towards you to test you. See, once you expand into that heart feeling, you're really giving out a good energy for everybody. Now, this is what you expand into, right? There was a whole other side to this as well. So I just want to say something about the fact that everybody incarnates, right, for a specific reason. Everybody's got their own reason for incarnating, every person that's in existence, right? And as much as it is, like I was saying, right, when I got that insight that this is hell, the third dimension is hell because it's a lower dimension and it's a cycle of suffering. So everybody incarnates, and we all incarnate to release the cycle of suffering, which means that there is a hell of a lot of suffering that goes on on Earth, right, in the third dimension. A lot of people suffer. A lot of people are in pain, okay? Now this is because it's a lower dimension. And until those people are able to enlighten themselves to the fact that they are beyond human beingness, they will not cease their cycle of suffering. Now, people think compassion is going towards those people in a human sense and trying to make their life better for them, right? And this is very controversial, what I'm going to say. I have said it before, but I'm going to say it again. But actually what that is doing is, that just increases the cycle of suffering, right? Because it's like you're getting involved in the human framework. You're getting involved in the matrix. You're becoming part of the problem, right? Like I said to you, open-heartedness is a sense of freedom and liberation, right? So it's a sense of we're connected energetically and we're connected beyond our human experience, right? So where we all expand into heartness is where the human experience gets better. Not by us going all downhill and trying to get attached on a human level, because that only increases the cycle of suffering. So your enlightenment, your lightening up and your expanding into your heart energy, there is a certain amount of detachment in that. A detachment from other people's human suffering. Now that might sound, and it does sound, from a human level, that it's lacking compassion. If I'm saying to you, look, if somebody comes to you and they've got like a huge problem and they want you to help them sort it out, or they want you to listen to them talk about the problem that they've got, or they're purging, and give you all their energy, right? What you're actually doing, you see, that's the very thing that I was just talking about. It's like when a narcissist comes towards you, that's what a narcissist does, basically. They come towards you with all their stuff, and they want to hook you with it, and they want to reel you in, and they want to take you, and they want to make you them, right? And then you give all of yourself, and there's nothing left of yourself to give. And then you become nothing, right? And then you have contracted into fear, and you're not even in your own fear, you're in someone else's fear, right? And they start to feed off your fear. So you to step backwards, right, and expand into your heart, and to open up from your heart only, right, and to be in that energy of openness is going to only give them the option to expand into that themselves. Do you see what I mean? So that person, instead of them focusing on their human experience and how terrible their human experience is, and dragging you into how terrible their human experience is, if you show them, look, you just have to let go. To feel better, you just let go, because it's not real anyway. They have to learn to do that. It's like teaching a bird. It's like a mother bird teaching a baby bird how to eat, right? Sooner or later, you've got to chase that baby bird away, right? And they've got to learn to feed on their own, right? So by you showing them what is truth is that the heart is all there is. But for the heart to be all there is, you cannot be so involved in your human experience and see it as important as you think it is, because it's not. Because you will never lighten up. You will never find enlightenment. You will never release into higher energy of love. So basically, it's to show them that and tell them that like this, but also to be it, right? And to be that lightness of being, and not get pulled in by anything that is here that is presenting us with something that is fearful. Okay. I don't know why I went off on a tangent then, didn't I? But basically, that's what coming back into the heart is all about. And we've got that here. Now, not to say we have challenges coming up this month in terms of relating, because we do, because I can see them here in terms of relating, in terms of communicating. Because that means somebody else is coming into your life at the end of this month, basically. and someone else to deal with in another way. Let's just see what this is. You see, this whole process, the process that was once formerly known as twin flame, is a process of getting ready for something, right? And it's a process of getting ready to have what is a divine connection with somebody where you will operate from a free heart, right? You will operate from a free heart. So basically, whoever it is that's going to come into your life that's operating from a compatible divine energy, if they come into your life and they're still presenting issues, right, like a little dribble of narcissism or a mild cohesion, controllingness, to see it from a higher perspective. You see, you will, by the time you finish this process, have become so enlightened that you will see from a higher perspective everything that comes into your life on a physical level. Right? Nothing will be able to dismantle your vibration. Nothing will be able to take you out of self, right? Your true self, your self that lies beyond your human experience. And we talked about that before. We talked about it a couple of months ago. We talked about releasing the last hook, right? Which is the right to be here. And basically, your right to be here is part of the process that I just talked about as well, which is the dismantling your human interaction so much that you're not going to be sucked in by other people's cycle of suffering and be made to pay for their cycle of suffering, because there's, you'll just finish your own cycle of suffering. Why should you have to go and pay for somebody else's cycle of suffering and become part of that? You see, it's not compassion, it's perpetrating the cycle of suffering. So do you understand what I mean? Am I making it clear? Everything in the process that you go through, the divine process, right? Everything that you go through takes you to a point where you are, you're going to be ready for everything that comes up, right? And it's like your vibration won't be fluctuating in face of things, like somebody coming towards you and being controlling, or somebody coming towards you and being cute even, there's all sorts of ways that people interact on a physical level that aren't necessarily attuned to a higher sense of being, because the liberation, right, means liberation, means complete liberation. Right, I've gone off on a tangent. Let's get into the... So we've got freedom this month. We've got freedom, clarity, a high perspective coming back in, heart energy coming back in, and relating coming back in towards the end of the month. So putting all that into practice in the way that you relate to people as well by the end of the month. Seeing beyond the matrix as well with it, with people. Seeing what their soul is showing you, what their soul is telling you to do. Not what their physical, their physical self says one thing, but it's because their soul's trying to tell you something else. So you've got to look beyond the physical illusion. It's a bit like that song, I say tomato, you say tomato, right? Because it's all not the one thing. It's very different things. Souls challenge each other through the human perspective. So at the end of the day, it's all good. Be it narcissistic, be it controlling, be it codependent, whatever challenge. It's challenge to keep your heart open and not get sucked into the drama and give your energy away. And it is possible. All that is possible. And this month we were able to do that. Okay, and that's about being ready for your divine destined event. because that is the energetic state you need to be in for a divine destined event to take place, is to have that sense of self from beyond the self, right? That we will not get dragged into a drama, basically, to put it in a very human way, where you don't get dragged into a drama. Like the mother bird, you know, when the baby bird's flapping and fluffing its wings up because it wants more food, and it's been shown to how to feed for weeks. It's time now. This is the month. You've got to fly off and find that baby bird's got to fly off and find its own food. Right. So we're going to start with Gemini, because it's Gemini's month. See what the cards want to say. Gemini. Right. I've got a lot of fire energy coming out for Gemini. King of Wands and the Knight of Wands. So that means that there's going to be something moving in really, really quickly towards you. It could be a physical man. And if it is a physical man, it could be somebody who's like an Aries, a Sagittarius, or a Leo. Or just somebody who's very A-type, or very bold, very daring, very aggressive, quite arrogant maybe. Dramatic even. It could, if it's not a man, it could be a dramatic event that's heading your way. Whatever this is a chance for you to own your bright side, all right? So this is a challenge of dark and light. So it could very well be presenting you with a dark side for you to show it the light. It could be presenting you with a dark side for you to remain in the light. It's coming in swift, it's coming in fast, and it is a battle, all right? It's going to lead to a change. And it's going to lead to healing as well. It could be for some people the end of a relationship. It could be for some people a replay of a relationship, because I've got something here that's a shadow, all right, and it's bringing about change. So it could be something coming back in for like ding, round 2, right, in a relationship, or 3 or 4 or 5 even. And it's about the way you deal with it. Right, so it's going to be, how are you going to deal with this now, all right? How are you going to deal with this fiery event, this drama, this dramatic person? I've got a feeling here that your eventual owning this, whatever it is, because I do feel it's a repeated test. So it's something that you've been through before with someone. Is about you coming out unscathed, right? So that means emotionally, energetically unscathed. So I feel like with whatever this is, it's going to be sharp and short. Okay, a sharp, short test. Could be very verbal, like almost like a fly-by-night, drive-by kind of event. But I feel like it's you maybe saying a firm no to somebody, but ultimately that's a healing energy, because it's somebody that wants something from you. I've got this feeling like it's somebody that wants something from you. Could be somebody that wants to kind of take you away from yourself, just like I was saying, in fact. Take you away from yourself and take part of you in the process, you know. But I feel like what they're coming in for, they're not going to get it this time. And it feels like you're going to stand your ground. It feels like, it feels like you have the ability to stand your ground, right? And it's a bit like, it's what they need as well, for you to stand your ground. It's what they need. So it's a healing for both. Just get one more out. You know it. If you're listening to this, you know who it is and you know who's coming, right? And I think you're ready for it as well. So maybe you have been, you know, standing guard over yourself, ready for a short, sharp shock. It's not going to be as bad as you think it is, though. I will say that. You've got protection, all right. I feel like some people, this is a narcissist coming in, like a proper one. But you are protected, all right. So it's like I say, whatever comes in, whatever challenges come in your life, you've actually set yourself up for it on a soul level. So it's like you've asked for it because you want to do it, because you want to prove I can do this, right? I can send this person packing and I can come out unscathed. That's actually what you're going to be doing this time. All right, so that's Gemini. So be brave and know that you can do it, whatever it is that comes in respect of that. You definitely can do it, and I feel like it's the time for it this month for you to do that. So let's have a look. Who's next? Gemini, and next comes Cancer. Okay, we've got Five of Wands, Queen of Cups, and then we've got Destiny, Judgment. So you've got a really nice month coming up by the look of things. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have a destined event coming up with someone from the past, actually, because what you've got here is someone coming towards you, someone from the past, someone that you're tied to. You've also got a passionate new start, and you've got destiny. I feel like you've been through a lot just lately, a lot of changes, maybe a lot of drama, maybe a lot of trials, tribulations. But what it's showing is that that's all behind you now, and that it's actually taught you to maybe go with the flow, and it's taught you to let go of what needs to be let go of, and it's taught you to only carry what you need on your path, right? So it's taught you to let go of anything that's a burden to you. You see, that's when you get to that point and you're letting go of you've learned to let go of any energy that is not necessary. When you get to that point, it's like, that means you're ready, you see. So we have you there, and then we've got Judgment coming in, which is destiny, and Ace of Wands, which is passion and a brand new start. And also the Nine of Wands again, which is the ending of the dark night of the soul. So it feels like you've got a nice month ahead of you, and you've got learning under your belt, right? It's like you've learned what you need to know. You also got travel coming up. For some of you, there's travel. Movement away from a sad situation. Just an unburdening, I feel. You're becoming unburdened from something this month and able to move forward with grace, you know, without it all weighing on you. So that's what we've got for Cancer. Let's have a look at who's next. Leo. Well, I feel like, Leo, this month you've got a lot of choices. You've got a choice. A lot of choices. I mean, in that you've got a lot of options, basically. So it feels like you've got a lot of chances to be happy in different ways, basically. Like the world is going to be your oyster, and you maybe just not going to know what it is that you want to do, like which way forward for you. But that just means that it's in the sense that you've got so many options to move forward that it's like you might just want to kind of sit in this energy of where shall I go? What shall I do? Choosing the best thing, basically, without making a rush decision of which way to go, because you have so many good options coming up that it's like you might just want to kind of be like in your head thinking about them, because they're all good. It feels like you've got lots and lots of good stuff on offer. So just that energy of being in your head with them is going to be as good as going towards any one of them for a while at least, because to think about them and, wonder, well, shall I do this? Shall I do that? Will this make me happy? Will that make me happy? Because it's, even that is really nice energy. So I'm just getting that you're going to be sitting in this energy for a while. Because it's saying that you've got success coming, success, happiness, in whichever direction you go in, basically. It's all going to pay off. So, take some time out to just be in your head and, maybe imagining how each destination, each road you could take, imagining what that'll be like. Whatever direction you go in, it's going to be good. And I just feel like this month is going to be, it's really important for you to not make that firm decision just yet. Because, of course, once you've gone in any direction, that's the only direction you've got then. Whereas right now, what you've got is you've got multiple destinations and they're all brilliant. So you could now be in your head in all those destinations, which, as we know, this physical dimension isn't really real. So why not be in your head with all those destinations and see and just enjoy that, basically. Enjoy it and envision the success that you'll have in whichever one you choose to take at some point in the near future. That's what I'm getting for you. All right, who's next? Virgo. Got 10 of coins, 8 of coins, 2 of cups, and the 8 of swords. So your work's over. Being a Virgo, I can say that resolutely as well, because I know that work's over now. And what you've got coming in is something that you're tied to, that you can just never let go. And whether that's your divine connection, for some people it might be your divine destiny. Certainly there is love on the horizon. We've got new love. And like I was saying in those previous cards, this heart-centered feeling is, it's a childlike innocence that comes of like a truly open heart, completely open heart. So it's able to love like a child, basically, and able to love like from beyond restriction, because children love unconditionally. They love beyond restriction, and that's what you've got here. So it's kind of like that's the energy that you've got coming in this month. Now, if you aren't actually hitting your destined point this month, and they're saying there's a good chance that you are, but if you're not, it's just going to be that feeling again that you have for your divine destined one, is that you're going to feel the way that you've always felt, right? That underlies everything. Because with this journey, the one that we're talking about, the one that was formerly known as Twin Flame, what never goes away is the connection with that one person or that one energy, all right? It never goes away, so it doesn't matter. It's like the arc that you go through on this healing journey, and the coming back to oneself. In fact, the coming back to oneself is the height of the arc, right? But then you go beyond that, and it's like you hit the highest high with what you go through. So it's like you're being connected to your highest self and your intuition, and working from the new paradigm of the fifth dimension. So working from a sense of freedom. But your arc carries on going down the other side. So it's like, get to the top of the hill, then you go down the other side. And as you come down, it's like you come back into your humanness again. So you're being got ready the whole time. You're being got ready when you hit your highest self, and then you're being got ready when you come back down into your humanness. As you come back down into your humanness, it's like I was saying earlier on, is that you start purging again a little bit, because you're again encountering your lower self. So you will encounter that, but you will witness it. And as you come back down and you're coming back into your humanness, it means that you're able to deal with whatever comes up in a human relationship again, basically. So everything on this journey gets you ready for that destined point. But the destined point happens after you've hit the top of the arc. All right, and you might feel like the top of your arc is when that's going to happen, but it's not actually. It's when you come back down the other side and you come back into your humanness. And but as you come back down into that humanness, you see, Virgo, it's where you're still able to love like a child that remains, and that's what you learned at the top as you rose to the top of the arc. Do you see what I mean? So you've got that coming back in again this month for you. So it could be just the feeling again that you feel that love that was always there. That is the feeling like it's your twin, dare I say it? Your like part of you, you know. It's going to come back in, that feeling. We've got new journey coming out, so it's all good as well. It's all good energetically, emotionally for you this month. You know, I would just want to add as well, and it's kind of for everybody, but I just want to say, you know, your lower self, right? Your lower self, that's always this struggle that goes on. That is the work as well, basically. That's what I wanted to say. Like releasing your lower self, that's the work. But it comes in many shapes and forms. It'll come in tests in the physical world, and it come in situations in the physical world, and encounters in the physical world with people and all that kind of stuff. That is the work. And, you know, when you encounter other people in the physical world, you're going to encounter your lower self in relation to them as well. So that's also the work. So anyway, but that's Virgo, all right. So it's a good month, love-wise, basically. Nice month. All the roses coming out. Everything's coming up roses. Right, Libra. Got relationship coming out, Hierophant. King of Swords, truth. Strength, give me strength. And Ten of Wands, fighting spirit is what they're saying. And again, we've got an ending. This time it's karmic in the Ten of Wands. So we've got a lot of masculine energy in these cards. Got fighting spirit, all right. And we've got karmic endings. And karmic is always masculine energy. So it's like stuff around family, stuff around siblings, stuff around parents, stuff around location. Like, you know, that you've that's in your bloodline, that's in your heritage, stuff around that, endings around things like that. But because I've got this, oh, you're resolute this month, Libra. So this is like, basically, this is the month for Libra. This is the month that Libra is going to make changes. I've got the Hierophant, which is a 5, which is relationship as well. Just a feeling that I've got off these cards, right, that's coming in. This is a feeling of kind of like, this is it. I am done. I have had it. Enough is enough. And it's not in an angry way, and it's not in a volatile way, all right? And it's not in a ashamed way, or it's not in any kind of scared way. It's in a dogmatic voice. I'm done. I'm out of here. Is the feeling that I'm getting from these cards for Libra. So it's like, and that's very un-Libra-like, right? Because Libra's always teeter-tottering on the fence. Oh, I don't know. Oh, should I, shan't I? But I'm not getting any of that with these cards. This is like, all right, I am done. I am out of here. I'm making this decision. And in fact, the decision's been made. Because that 5 comes out first. That's the decision. It's about relationship. And after that, we just got like this. All right, I'm doing it. So it could be like, if you're waiting for Libra to contact you, you're going to get that contact this month. It could be like you, Libra, that you're just feeling this way and you're ready to do it, whatever it is this month. It is overcoming your programming, whatever it is as well, because we've got that Ten of Wands, which is all about karma. So, you know, programming plays a lot. And for Libras who are very much people, You know, they're always like, what's that person going to think? What does that person want from me? How should I be to that person? Am I what they want me to be? You know, all this kind of stuff. It's always, they're relationship people, they are people, they're people pleasers a lot of the time. So you're often taken away from yourself. Even when you think you're not being taken away from yourself, you're taken away from yourself just in the fact that you're not allowed to be thoroughly yourself. And it's, you know, that teeter-tottering on the fence that goes on inside the Libra is their natural state of being, like I say. So it's like you don't even often know that you're teeter-tottering on the fence. You're just so used to being like that and not, you know, not giving it up, basically, that it becomes the status quo. And this is a just really unusual energy to see that it's the one truth is coming out, basically. Again, you see I'm getting the Queen of Swords now, and I've got the King of Swords out there already, so it's kind of like this is what's true for you is coming out this month. It's like you are going to do what's true for you, despite your programming. That's what I was saying, because the programming with Libra, you see, you're programmed to be on the fence because you're a Libra, and you've also got all the programming that comes through your bloodline and your family and your siblings and your location and your culture, and all these societal kind of filters, you know, that come through that tell you who you should be, basically. And that's often the programming that stops you being who you are. And what I've got here is you becoming you completely this month, and you stepping out of that paradigm. So you better go find that song by Queen, I Want to Break Free, and put that on and play that at full volume. That's what I'd suggest. And that will be your song for this month, Libra. All right, who's next? Scorpio. Got another 10 coming out. 10 of Cups, Knight of Swords, the Empress, Ace of Swords, Hanged Man. Well, 9 of Swords. Let's have one more. 2 of Wands. Right. Well, I would just suggest that if you're not a Scorpio, I would not go anywhere near a Scorpio this month. Or at least try and not to get involved with Scorpio this month. Because what looks like is going to go on here is Scorpio is going to have a very, very nice time of cutting things into shape, right? Of like cutting ties, of speaking the truth, of putting people in their place, of aligning people to their true roles is what I'm getting. So it's kind of like I'm getting this energy of Scorpio, right? And the Scorpio being like, right now, I'm going to decide. Okay, put it another way, right? Scorpios have great insight into everybody. They read between the lines. A Scorpio is very, very good at seeing the parts of somebody that that person doesn't want to see. And this is why I'm saying you might not want to go near a Scorpio this month, because a Scorpio can see exactly what it is inside of you that is your biggest fear a lot of the time. Your biggest fear, your biggest worry, your biggest shame, your biggest lie, right? They can see right through that facade to your soul, okay? And they're not afraid to speak it this month, basically. So what I've got is a lot of the Scorpio just kind of speaking the truth. Now, this event, right, the Scorpio being like this, speaking the truth, this is part of their mission to be here. So I'm not saying they're being malicious or they're being vindictive. It's got nothing to do with anything like that, all right? They're actually being very creative this month, Scorpio. You're being very creative. It's like you want to put the world to rights, okay? Because you want to point out everything that is its shadow, all right? You want to point out the shadow to everybody of what it is they're not seeing, what it is they're not owning, what it is they're not admitting to, what it is they're lying to themselves about, all this kind of stuff, right? because this month you can see it. You can see it more clearly than you've ever seen it before. And you want to put an end to it. So it's actually quite a positive thing that you want to do. It's like it's coming from a sense of wanting to help and wanting to like just readjust this fake reality we live in so that everybody is more in their truth, because it's you can see the truth, right? So it's like you want to just go over there and turn the knobs a little bit and tweak everything so the truth is in alignment with what we actually see in the physical world. So it's a creative thing. You're feeling a lot of harmony coming from it. You're feeling a lot of like, this is the right thing to do. And probably it is the right thing to do. It might not feel right for the people that are on the receiving end of it. But at the end of the day, it's not harm you're doing. So, that's up to somebody else how they want to take it. If they want to feel harmed by it, well, maybe they will feel harmed if they're hiding from the truth and you point it out to them. Because of course, if you point out the elephant in the room, everybody's going to then look at it, haven't they? So, but at the end of the day, it's something that you're doing for the benefit of everybody. It's a bit like clearing all the leaves away in autumn, and finding out there's still some flowers underneath or something like that, sweeping them up. I get that you'll have a nice month doing it, because it's quite intense. What I'm feeling is quite intense work, It's like soul work, right? And it's going to be carefully worded. So I get you having conversations that are carefully worded with people about these things that they're hiding or they're not in the truth about, and kind of, I get you lulling some people into a kind of like almost so they're soporific, right? So that they're able to take it on board. Like you're going to lull them with a nice voice and a calm disposition and a slow way of speaking, and then you're going to tell them the truth. And maybe that's how you'll do it actually, and then it'll come about in a way that's facilitates change in them, and ends the process inside of them, a struggle, helping them to end a struggle. So maybe that's the only advice I need to give you, is to go about it like treacle, right? Not like stabbing in the dark. So that's it. So advice is to listen to Morgan Freeman, because he's got a voice like treacle, right? And learn to speak like him, so that when you deliver your words of truth, you can do it like calmly, slowly, carefully, succinctly. And in that way, when you do it, you're going to make people feel good, right? Instead of them going, oh my God, they pointed out my biggest flaw. You're going to make them feel like, oh, yes, wouldn't it be better to be like that? Thank you, Scorpio. Right, so that's a Scorpio. Who's next? Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Oh, Sagittarius. Right, well, I feel like you're going to have a fun month this month. You might be drinking slightly too much this month. And I feel like you've got someone in your sights as well. So it's either you're dating or you're going to meet someone that you're going to date. You've got romance on the agenda. You've got lots of fun times, flirting, and maybe, going overboard a little bit with the alcohol or whatever it is that pleases you in that sense, But yeah, there's someone that you've got in your sights, I feel. This is very funny because it feels like it's like a challenge for you, this person, but this person that you've got your eye on actually it just feels like you've just got to have them, is what I'm getting. It's like there's someone, for some Sagittarians, right, and they're like, I have to have that person, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that person. However, I don't think it will last, whoever it is. I feel like you're going to get bored of them really quickly, and move on. So it's almost like it just feels like, oh yeah, for some of you, right, it's going to be somebody that you've known before, maybe the one that got away, something like that. So you get another chance with the one that got away, right? And maybe you're only going to do it because you want them. Do you know what I mean? Because they got away, so you want to show that you can get them, and then you're going to get them, and you're going to be like, oh, I've done that now, don't want them anymore. It'll be that for some Sagittarians, right? You're having a lot of fun this month though with it. Again, I'm not getting any harm done at the end of the day. I'm not getting any harm done. So to the other person, whoever that is, who you've got your sights on, I think they're going to be pretty much oblivious to what it is that you're doing, and they're not going to feel harmed by it. It's almost like I hate to say this to you, Sag, but all your charms will be wasted because I feel like you're going to be putting on this show or something for this person, and really it's all about how you feel about yourself, right? So if they're the one that got away and you're going to put on this big show because you've got a chance of getting them back, it doesn't matter anyway, because at the end of the day you still wouldn't have wanted them if you'd had them the first time around, whoever they are. So you don't need to put on that show and get them back, really. But it's like a game or something, and it's like you're just going to have some fun with it, I think. Yeah. You're going to get to talk a lot, verbalise a lot, be creative, playful. Maybe have some great sex as well, let's face it. So that's what I'm getting for Sag. Nice month, easy going. And it's not going to end in tears as well. I'm not getting that for anybody at all this month. There'll be no ending in tears. Who's next? Capricorn. Oh, we've got resolution coming through for you in some respect. Around the home, a relationship, marriage, something like that. Maybe delivering some news as well that's going to change things. Feels like you've got yourself together. Yeah. Yes. So what it feels like is after quite a long period of things, maybe in turmoil, I think maybe you gave your power up. So you gave your power up to somebody in your life, Capricorn, and gave your power away, so somebody else had control. Now they may or may not have wanted that control, but you gave it. And it seems like you're just going to kind of take yourself back this month. So it's like you've been through that now. You gave that power up, and you were like handed yourself over to somebody. Like, here I am, do what you will with me. In a lot of cases, it feels like maybe it wasn't even, that person didn't even want it like that. This may be something that you've had going on inside of you that you had to resolve, Like, this is a habit that you've always had. Like, when you got involved with people, you gave your power up. And for some people, it will be the person took the power. I mean, when I'm looking at who it is that you've been involved with, it'd be different for everybody. Some people, it will be someone did take the power. Some people, it would be someone who's always had the power. Some people, it would be someone that didn't want the power and didn't even really notice that you were giving yourself up. But for you, it noticed that you gave yourself up. That's what I'm getting. For you, it noticed, but it's kind of like you're pulling yourself out of it now. You're seeing that you did that, and you're taking yourself back, reclaiming yourself from a situation. is what I get. I'm not saying the person's going to leave your life necessarily, just that you're going to pull yourself back into order, you know, and not let yourself be taken for granted, or not letting anyone run rings around you, you know, not letting anyone put you out, push you in a corner. So so that's your advice then. I only started doing the advice with, what was it, Libra? They weren't saying it till then. So yours is to watch that movie, obviously, with what's it called, Dirty Dancing. Nobody puts baby in the corner. That's your advice. It's my Capricorn. Right. Who's next? Capricorn. Is it Aquarius? Aquarius. Got the Star, Page of Wands, Devil, Two of Coins, Fear. I knew that was coming out. Oh my God. Seven of Swords, which is fear. So with you, it's challenges, Aquarius, this month around fear, basically. This is more the fear that's inside of you. It's not a fear coming at you from outside. So it's about, what do you allow yourself to feel fearful of? And how are you allowing fear itself to dominate your life, or to dominate your experience, your human experience, right? Because there is something here that you draw towards you, that you're drawing towards you in terms of relationship, and it is fear itself. So you could be experiencing fear through maybe the fear that you're going to lose someone that you dearly want in your life, or the fear of not having this person in your life might be making you face what it is that you don't love it enough in yourself. Right, so whenever this fear comes up, this fear around a person that's in your life, right? Because I get this person is in your life, right? And they keep being in your life. Whatever this fear is that you feel about losing this person, it's actually not about losing that person at all. The fear is a fear of how you feel about yourself that makes you feel you will lose that person, but you're not seeing the fear about yourself. It's the fear about yourself that you have to heal and focus on, not about losing that person. So, for example, let me just get it. You see, this process keeps repeating, and you're not seeing, because it's like you're not looking at what Spirit is asking of you. So you keep getting a feeling, right, around a person, like, oh, that person's going to leave me. And then you get terrified about it, right? And then it triggers you in all sorts of weird ways. Like maybe you become controlling, or maybe you become passive-aggressive, or maybe you become a little bit you try and pull that person away from themselves a little bit, right? By bringing the attention back to yourself, even, something like that. And none of those things are going to solve the real problem or the real issue here, right? Because it's all directed at the other person. You have to look at yourself. So when you feel fearful that someone's going to leave your life, someone you don't want to leave your life, you have to look at, well, why do I really feel that? What's going on underneath this? Where is that coming from? Is it somebody earlier on in my life that left me and gave me that fear? And when I feel like I'm losing this person, that fear comes back up again. So is it coming from an earlier relationship, perhaps from childhood, perhaps parental? Is it coming from something like that? You have to look at issues of self-worth. You know, in what way do you feel lacking? Because if you've got a fear that someone's going to leave you, it's saying that you don't think you're good enough. So in what way do you not think you're good enough for that person to be in your life? What is it? What is it about yourself that you think that they're going to leave? Is that true? You know, if you think that maybe they're going to leave you because what? Because they don't love you. Why would they not love you? What is unlovable? What do you think is unlovable about you? You see, you've got to look deeper than just what's going on with that one person. This is what Spirit's trying to show you by giving you the fear that somebody might leave you. They're trying to make you look at yourself and look at what it is about yourself you don't love enough. All right, so you've got to go beyond the mind here. You see, you're a very mental sign, so you tend to stay in the head and just worry, and you don't go into your heart or use your head to get into your heart. Right, that's what your head is for, actually. Your mind, it's only for you to get into your heart and find out what's going on in your heart. It's not for you to run away from your heart, because if you run away from your own heart, you're only going to find pain. It's a cycle of suffering, you see. You've got to run towards your own heart. I know it might look like it's even more suffering that direction, but it isn't. It just looks like it is. It's an illusion. Once you run into your own heart opens up and lets you in, and you'll find all the answers there. All right, so that's what I'm getting for Aquarius. Okay, any advice for Aquarius? Well, only that I'm getting listen to some kind of 80s power music as well. Power ballads, I don't know. Bonnie Tyler. Total Eclipse of the Heart, perhaps. Or John Bon Jovi. Living on a Prayer. I don't know, something like that. Right, I've got a few cards left and then we'll have to start again with cards. So this is going to be Pisces. 3 of Coins. Wheel of Fortune. The World. 7 of Cups. Well, you've got really nice cards, Pisces. It's like the world is your oyster as well. I need more cards though. Hang on a minute. I feel like you've got a road trip coming up. Packing your bags, leaving. A new destination on the horizon. I need one more card. Hang on a minute. So what they're saying is, you've got to go where no one's ever been before. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. It's like do the untried, all right? Try things that are new, that are different, be creative, break the wheel, like they say in Game of Thrones, break the wheel, do something completely different, step outside of yourself. Step outside of your usual routine, step outside of your usual regalia, you know, change up your hairstyle, change up your clothes, change up your lifestyle, try a completely different location. This is all going to help you in your process. Right. Your process of rebirth. You're going through a process of rebirth. To be reborn, you have to change things. And that means change things a lot, so drastically. And this is like test as well, soul level testing. So this isn't kind of like, well, I think I'd like to have green hair, so I'm going to change my hair to green. This is like, I really can't imagine what it would be like to have purple hair. It's not my favourite colour, and and what would short purple hair be like? Because I really don't like short hair. And then you go and get short purple hair. All right. So this is like really testing your boundaries, your own personal boundaries of what is applicable to you, right? What makes you you. Because I just get the feeling that it's also a step beyond fear, right? Because it means that if you say you really don't want short hair and you really don't want short purple hair, in fact, you can't think of anything worse than having short purple hair, and then you go and get it, not only are you really stepping beyond a fear and challenging your own boundaries, you might find out you actually like it. So you might also find more love for yourself in doing that, and be looking in the mirror thinking, well, actually, I look great with short purple hair. I wonder what I could try next. I wonder what else I thought I didn't like. Let me try that as well. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you need to break the wheel, is what they're saying. And you need to break the mould of you. And it's all part of your process of coming to a sense of what is acceptable. What is acceptable. Because at the end of the day, it would benefit you greatly, is what they're saying. It would benefit you greatly to test your boundaries. I mean, for some Pisces, this might not even be you choosing to have the short purple hair. This might be just an incidence of short purple hair. I'm just thinking back to a few years ago, in around 2015, when I dyed my hair and it went the wrong colour. So I put dye remover on it and it went bright pink. And the only thing I could do was cut my hair. And I didn't want short pink hair. But then I had it. And you know what? It wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad at all. Didn't last that long. But, it was forced upon me. It wasn't a choice, that's for sure. So I think I did bleach it again eventually and got rid of it completely. And then I dyed it my own colour on top of the bleach. But for a few days there I had pink hair. Anyway, that's what it's saying here. So embrace the changes. Embrace them. It'll do you good to embrace the changes, all right? That's Pisces. Who's next? Aries. Got the Ten of Wands. King of Coins. Queen of Swords. The Sun. Do you know what? I'm just going to have to shuffle these again because I had practically the same cards for, I think it was Sagittarius. Let me just shuffle them up a bit more. I'm not very good at shuffling, you see. Thanks for being with me, passing the time, because that's all this is really, passing the time. For me, whilst completion processes. Right. Okay. Right, now we're doing it. Who are we doing? Aries. Thank you. That's better. Right, so we've got something new that you've not experienced before, Aries. Something that's challenging. something that's going to lead to a big change. Something that you're drawing to yourself again. And this is for higher knowledge. So you're going to be finding out about yourself this month, big time. And in relation to that insight that you're going to get is going to allow you to see somebody else more clearly. Okay. Now, I get your energy this month, right, being kind of at a standstill. So I'm not getting a big month for you, like actively, like in the physical world. I'm getting a big month for you energetically. All right, so it's like it's all going to be going on inside of you this month. And it's a learning process, right? So it's kind of like you might feel like your physical life is a bit on hold, or maybe things aren't happening in the physical world at this time. But that's because something's going on internally, energetically, to do with you understanding something, like I say, which will lead to change and more insight. So it's a very, very valuable month for you to be tapping into your intuition. It's going to bring about an ending as well. So it's kind of like maybe you're purging actually this month. You could be going through a month of purging on and off. But the purge itself leads to great insight, like I said at the beginning. So it seems that it's going to be very valuable for you. Just get one more. And deliver you more power in the physical world eventually because of it. So it's kind of like what you learn energetically is going to deliver you more beingness in the human sense. So it's going to make you more able to be master of your experience in the physical realm. All right, so it is like, that's a very good month really. But I do get that it might be, have its, the purge coming in. And also, it's got the devil there as well. So, if you're connected to someone energetically, and if the reason for you being connected energetically is because you are balancing the masculine and the feminine energy, and that's a service, you're also going to be balancing their energy, basically. So it's like whatever is coming through you, because I'm getting it twofold, right? I'm getting your own purge, but I'm also getting you purging for another. So it's like you're going to have your own purge, and then you're going to be purging for someone you're connected to energetically. So always when you have that, and I feel like a lot of the time I feel like theirs comes directly after yours, because I feel sometimes with this, and this goes for everybody, that we can have our own purge, but our own purge would be over a lot sooner if it wasn't then linked to somebody else's that we're purging for, because it's like you feel everything, that if you're connected to someone energetically as one, right, as pure energy, pure connection, you feel everything that they're feeling, right? You experience all their emotions, and that's why it's such a conundrum at times, because you can be feeling fine one day and the next day you'll be like, just like in the pits of despair, and unable to understand why you're feeling like that as well, why it's just all gone topsy-turvy. But I get you going through that this month, but it will end, and at the end of it you'll come out with a greater sense of being, a greater sense of composure in the physical world, which is always the case, but an insight, composure and insight by the end of the month. So I would just buckle up really, Aries. It looks like it'll be a bit of a roller coaster. And who's next? Taurus. 4 of Wands. Page of Swords. Death. And 5 of coins. Very interesting. This is a bit like an Agatha Christie or something, because it feels like there's but you've got protection. That's good. So you're protected, whatever's going on this month. I feel like it is going to be information coming out. All right, we've got Page of Swords, which is always information coming out, messages delivered, and it's going to change things. It's going to change things a lot. So, and I've got the 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands is often it's about home situations, it's about weddings, it's about funerals as well in that regard. You know, it's about gatherings. So we could be looking at here some kind of information coming through in sense of family. I mean, I'm just getting loads of things shooting through my head now. Like we're getting lottery wins, we're getting news of death, we're getting news of family information, skeletons coming out of closets, all this kinds of stuff. We're getting the truth coming out in regard to situations in relationships with people. We're getting relationships ending for you. I mean, it might not be yours, but it's somebody that you know, and somebody that's like, you know, it's going to be like the world turned on its head in sense of some news coming out, information coming out around a relationship. We're getting that as well. So big changes. What I'm getting, you see, is I'm getting like so picture this, it's like a family celebration or a family gathering, and suddenly somebody lets a skeleton out of the closet. All right, so that's like an Agatha Christie, right? And somebody's like, oh my God, so-and-so did so-and-so in the closet with the butler or something, and everybody knows, and everybody's like, oh my God. And it's kind of like everything's going to go a bit crazy with that news. And somebody's going to get like thrown out, basically. Maybe it ends up somebody's going to get thrown out of the house, or a relationship's going to end, or whatever it is. It's like I said, there's protection here, so you know everything happens for a reason, right? So don't worry about it. It's going to be a drama. I feel it's going to be a drama, but it's going to leave the door wide open for something else. For some of you, it's opening the door for romance. Like, big time. I mean, it could be you saying to someone yourself that this is over. Or you find out that you're married to someone who's got another wife or another husband. There's been, you know, that has a secret marriage or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's saying that if you just go with the flow with it, it's actually going to turn out to be what you want. So, you know, if it's something comes up like this, right, and it's something that's, say it's something that is not society would frown upon, right? Say you have some news coming out at a family gathering, or I just get that people will know, all right, so it comes out in the open, basically. And the news is that either someone's having an affair, or they've already got a husband somewhere else, or something like that, or a wife somewhere else, or they're not who they appear to be, right? And the first instinct is to like go, oh my God, that's shocking and that's terrible, and how dare they do that, and they shouldn't have done that, right? But if you take away that instant like societal conforming reaction to this thing, if you take that away for a minute, and you just don't do anything, right? So you let it go. Let go of whatever it is that you were going to say, like as in terms of like your shock or your horror. Let go of all of that. And instead, just take it all in, right? Take a breath. Take it all in. Know that there's a higher meaning behind it, and that you're protected. And that means that whatever's happening ultimately is for your greater good. Then you might even find out that underneath your first instant reaction to what's happened is a knowing that it's actually going to make your life a whole lot better now that it's come out. Right? So the road to go down, therefore, would not be the persecuting whoever it is that you found this thing out about, but would be allowing them to freeing up the whole situation as smoothly as possible, because it's like you're the one that's going to benefit in the long run from whatever this knowledge is that's being released. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth, basically. Taurus. Yeah, I would just watch your triggers this month, because it's like something might be trying to trigger you into a reaction that, if you looked a bit further, is not really a beneficial reaction, because it could be that what's going on is actually going to be a very good thing for you after all. So let it go. It's saying let it go. Don't rise to the anger. All right, and don't jump to kind of attack. Your ego will want to attack, basically. Your ego is always going to want to attack, because the ego likes to hurt. That's what our ego does. It's like, ah! It's like, who can I attack? Find someone to attack. Who's doing wrong in the eyes of society? That's what the ego does. Tears people apart, tears things apart. So, yeah, just, I would say keep stum, right? And have a good, and then reflect, rather than, instead of going forward into battle, go back into your tent and have a think about things. And you might find that actually maybe you're not angry at all. Maybe it's like, oh well, maybe it's a blessing, what it is you're finding out. Maybe it's a blessing. All right, so that's it. Leave it at that. I think that's everybody. I hope that's everybody. Lots of love. Is there anything else you need to say about this month and about the process and about not really. Well, there is actually. I wanted to say about the fact that there's this arc, that you go through this arc of experience that I mentioned earlier, because what I've come to understand and come to realise is that it's not at the top of the arc that you are that you achieve your destiny, your destined event. The top of the arc is where you are highly aligned with your higher self. So it's where you experience abundance of joy and happiness and self-love and feelings of letting go and seeing through the matrix and being allowed to kind of exist within the fifth dimensional energy, right? And once you achieve that, that's the top of the arc, and but that is not the end of the journey, all right? After that, like I say, you start to come down from that arc. You retain the benefits of that experience, because you will notice that if you, and this is another reason why journaling is so good, because sometimes you will forget what you experienced. So if you write down your experiences as they're coming along, you will never have to forget them, because you might think, well, what was I doing this time last year? How was I feeling this time last year? And you can go back to your journal and you can look and you will see that at some point you were in a completely different energetic state, and maybe you'd forgotten that, especially if you'd hit really high fifth dimensional energy, because it's very easy to then go back down into the third and forget all about it, especially if you're not having direct psychic experience. Direct psychic experience, obviously, you cannot forget these things. So, it's less, you've always got that knowledge there. But the benefits that you reap from hitting that highest energy are things like physical abundance and limitlessness within this physical field, right? So it's like you will not be poor again. You will not suffer. You will not suffer unless you let yourself suffer, you see, because then you come back down the other side of this arc. And as you're coming back down into your lower self again, so you're becoming more human again, of course you have the option to suffer, because being human is to suffer, right? Because as I said before, the third dimension is the lowest dimension there is. So in fact, if we're talking about hell, it is hell, because there is no lower dimension than hell, right? So hell is suffering. It's a cycle of suffering. That's what it is. So we've actually all been, thinking it's the wrong thing, and it's this thing. So you have the choice to suffer or not. Your choice is to decide, well, am I going to take this human experience as being all there is? In which case, yes, I can suffer because it's all there is, so I must suffer. Or you can take this human experience as being only a limited experience, and you will not suffer at all. For example, the other day when I was going through all this purging, I remember one of the things I was purging about was my age, right, and the fact that I'm getting older, and and then of course when I came out of it and I hit my truth again, I was like, that's all gone. It's like, well, because I'm limitless, it doesn't matter. So this is a limited experience. None of that matters. So I was fooled again. You see, the devil fools, right? Ha. That's again why it's hell, because the ego will fool you into thinking that this is the only experience. But it isn't. We're limitless beings. We have limitless potential. Anything is possible. This is not real. This is not reality. It is merely an experience we're having, and it's transitory. And it goes in a blink of an eye because it's not real. Right? But as you come back down out of the side of that arc, what happens is you come back into your reality, and you've been taught through a whole of this process, through everything that you've gone through and all the experiences that you've gone through, to manage your experience, right? When people say you have to manage your experiences, right? It's like what they're saying is you have to make sure that you don't think that anything brilliant could happen, because it won't, right? Where in reality, real reality, managing your experience means that you have to understand that this is only an experience, and you have to know that anything can happen from beyond this experience and come into this experience, because you create your own experience. And you're not even having to create it as you go along, all right? So I'm not saying, oh my God, I've got to stay in really high energy, because if I don't, I won't create a good experience, because that's just fear-mongering, and it's also bullshit. Your experience was created before you even got here. Your destiny is destined, so you don't have to worry about staying in good energy. All you have to do is know that when you slip down into the third, you are in fact in hell. And you don't want to be there suffering. So let go of the suffering, let go of the pain, right? And allow yourself to slip back into the fifth dimensional energy, where you don't have to worry or stress about anything. And just don't worry or stress about anything. And don't listen to all the people that are putting stuff out there that says that, things have to be worried about, basically. Things have to be worried about. Even people who put out astrology, I see them putting, oh, this is going to be a tricky month. This is going to be, it's going to be. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. It isn't. Not unless you decide you want it to be like that and you spend a whole month worrying about it. Because your experience has already happened. Your experience, you've already got to the end of it. You're already out of it. You're already back where you came from. It's destined experience. All right, it's not a fly-by-night experience. It's not happening on the fly. The only thing that happens on the fly is how you feel about your experience. That's the only thing that you have control over in this fake reality, is how you feel about it. That's the only thing. So how are you going to allow yourself to feel? Are you going to allow yourself to feel like crap, or are you going to allow yourself to feel okay? Because it's only an experience. Because like I'm saying okay, you notice I didn't say, are you going to allow yourself to feel filled with joy and life and love? Because that's the top of the arc. You have to come back down into a human experience. And sometimes a human experience, yeah, it's a shit experience, right? It's filled with all this nonsensical stuff that you have to go through that feels like crap. So sometimes, you know, all you have to do is be like, yeah, okay, I'm having a human experience, you know, and that will do. That will do. And therefore you are managing your experience, right? Because when you come into your divine destined event, you will need to manage your whole experience. And your whole experience can't be managed by being like with a fake smile on going, everything's fine. You're managing your experience by going, yeah, this is how it is. This is a human experience. Deal with it. To somebody else who comes back who's got fucking issues. All right? So that's what I'm saying. You come back down the other side of the arc, you come back into your humanness, and you're able to then deal in a human way with somebody else who has got issues, right? Who might not have dealt with those issues because they're not woken up to them. All right, so that's all I want to say. That's it. I'm leaving now. I shall go and have a nice salt bath is what I'm going to do now, because that's always good to do. And I'm going to probably think about things that make me worry. And as I'm thinking about them, I'm going to be saying to myself, I don't need to worry about that, and letting it go. Lots of love. See you later.